Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
All right, what's going on, man? Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast, where we elevate our black men because black men be out here thinking. So as you can see, completely different setup tonight. I'm in a robe. I'm going to explain all of this because it has part to do with what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm in a robe, need to shave, under the weather, all of that stuff. But the important thing is getting the work done. So tonight, shout out to all the homeboys. The homeboys are like out of town in their own like different place. Everybody went on vacation or whatnot. But so I'm here dolo. But we're gonna power through, and I'm gonna give you guys a quality episode because no excuses. Like we got to get the work done. So homeboy check in with me. Like I said, I've been kind of fighting a cold that's coming. I don't know where it's coming from. Probably picked up from one of my kids, but just been trying to fight that. And in the midst of all that too, just like, you know, when you're sick, you don't necessarily want to do stuff, but then, you know, it's just like life goes on, bro. So really taking the time to get some rest, but also making sure I still get the things that I need to get done. And one of those things were recording a podcast. So, you know, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Early today, like I'm recording this at 11 p.m. You guys are going to get this in a couple of hours. You're going to be listening to this within a couple of hours. But honestly, what happened, I was just like making every excuse to not record, right? So like I said, one of the fellas, like Marlon's birthday is this weekend. So like he's out of town. Tori's out of town. Corey's out of town. You know what I mean? Like the whole crew is out of town. And so I was thinking like, yo, should I record an episode or should we just like give you guys a throwback episode? And, you know, I'm just like, oh man, you know, making every excuse. Like I took a shower. I'm in my old man robe. I'm chilling. And you know what? It hit me. It was like, look, bro, get the work done, right? Like we got to figure out ways to get this and be more consistent. And the only way to do that is just like power through and actually do the work. So the goal, stop making the excuses, right? Like the excuse culture is a real big thing. Like, you know, now, especially now, a lot of people, including myself at times, you know, we feel entitled to certain things. Like we've been working for a long time for those things, and we feel like those things should be there and present and made available to us. But the reality is life don't work like that. Like you can make all the plans you want. You can say that you want to do all of these things, and then at some point, either it's going to happen or it's not. And you know, that not may be just a not right now. And so getting to a place to where it's just like, yo, bro, do the work and everything else will work itself out. You know, you're trying to put yourself on a timetable or a timeline sometimes can be, it can hurt to the final destination of where you're going because you are trying to get somewhere at a certain time frame, not realizing that some of those things that you're going through, you're going to need to get to that other side. And so just trying to be mindful of those things and make sure that, yes, taking breaks are fine. And, you know, you're going to go through certain obstacles and all these different roadblocks, but making sure that you're staying, you know, on course. It made me think about, you know, I remember vividly growing up during a time where there was no GPS, right? Like I had to print out maps or get a map book, you know, to go to my destination. And the funny thing about that time is you would print not knowing when was the last time that thing was updated, right? Like, you know, now on your GPS, an accident can happen and within 5 minutes, all the GPSs are updated to say that there's an accident somewhere that just happened. You're going to get that right at the moment information. But there was a time where you would print out your instructions, your directions, and you would just drive, and you would run into whatever you ran into on the way to your destination. And so sometimes that meant you had to hit a detour that you didn't know about. Sometimes you stuck in traffic for an hour and a half that you didn't account for that time. Sometimes an exit might have been closed and you had to go down to another exit and find a different way to your destination. But you printed out that roadmap, if you will, with the mindset of like, hey, it's going to get me in the direction of where I'm trying to go. And as long as I can go in toward that direction, I can figure everything else out. And so, excuse me, I kind of use that for today. Just like, sometimes things are not going to seem like you know where they're going. Like it's going to feel like, man, I was supposed to turn left on this street. Now there's no street. And you just got to figure it out. Sometimes you might have to make your own street. I think about just over the span of my career, just so many times where there were things that I wanted to do, and either it was not available, or I was not allowed access. And in all of those cases, I went and created my own. And I think a lot of times we forget about that stuff because, we're so forward, trying to think forward, and we don't have time to like look at the past and all of those things. And while I partially agree with a lot of that, I think sometimes you have to look at what you did to know, where you're going, right? And I was reminded a lot of that. I had a conversation. Shout out to the homie Westside Jimmy. He had pulled up to the crib, and we were just, talking about DJing and just talking about life and music and all of that stuff. And like, bro, legit reminded me of some things that I had done that I took for granted because, when you're in the midst of doing the work, you don't really think about it. And, he was telling me like, yeah, bro, I remember like walking into a spot and like you had 3 rooms jumping at the same time. And while for me, that didn't really, I didn't look at it that way. I'm just kind of like in the middle of doing the work and not really, I don't even want to say get the opportunity to enjoy those things, but I just wasn't thinking about it. And he was like, bro, you realize the first time I met you was like you were at this apartment and now we sitting at your house. And like, he was saying some things, but I don't know if he realized what he was doing or not, but it was just like, it was reaffirming some things that I forgot about, honestly. And so, it was a conversation that I definitely needed, and I took away from thinking that like, a lot of the stuff that I built, due to whatever, like pandemic or like, honestly, just life, bro. Like you have kids and life changes. It's not going to sugarcoat it. Y'all know, y'all got kids. So if you got kids, bro, like you have to make some different decisions, because I'm an active parent. I'm not like a, throw my kids to the side type of dude. Like I'm in my kid's life like every day. And so with doing that, I made some decisions that I don't necessarily regret, but I definitely think I would do them differently if I was to like, start over. And so that conversation helped me realize that you're holding back on a lot of things that you're doing, right? Like you hold back on ideas because they may seem too big for some people, or they may seem like, especially when you're a creative person, just like as a side note, when you're a creative person, ideas come to you often. And the problem with ideas coming to you often is that you have to learn that some of those ideas are meant for other people. Some of those ideas are meant for not right now. And some of those ideas are meant to like start immediately and see them all the way through. And I can say, as a full creator in the mind in every sense of the word, the fault of a lot of creators is that because ideas come to you so often, you can either A, get bored of certain things, you can move on quickly from certain things, you can have the mindset of like not worrying about something not working because I can always come up with something else. And that's something that creators, I know I'm talking to my creators now. You guys get it. You know that things don't tend to bother you because you know that you can come up with something that can change the world. Like, at least in your head, you may think that. And I will say, like, when you're around other people that don't necessarily think that way, you have to keep in mind that that's not like a bad thing, right? Like, that's just, people are wired their own way. And I know something that used to bother me was just like, I would have visions of things that wanted to get done. And, you would talk to people and they may not see it the same way that you see it. And sometimes that can be discouraging. Sometimes that can be like one of those things like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea, having like self-doubt and all of those things. And honestly, bro, you just have to realize that A, you're either talking to the wrong people, or B, everybody's just not going to understand what you have in your head. Like, that's just the reality of it. It's not meant for everybody to understand. People can get it later. I'm almost certain when Steve Jobs or, Bill Gates had these ideas early on, they sounded crazy to people, right? Like, I mean, even if you look at the whole Netflix and Blockbuster, right? Like, I'm a kid of Blockbuster. I went to Blockbuster when it was DVDs and video games to, VCRs and video games, like, seeing the whole thing through. And no one could have imagined that you didn't have to rent a video, right? Like, even thinking about something like Redbox, like, there's still a few Redbox sprinkled around, but now the idea of a Redbox, a movie vending machine, is almost doesn't make sense anymore because I can watch anything from my phone. And so I say all that to say that things happen in certain time periods, and sometimes the world or other people around you may not be ready for that, or may not even can fathom that stuff. And they're not wrong in their thinking, bro. They're just not you. And you have to understand that and figure out a way to process that and, like, deal with that how you have to deal with it. I don't know how to tell you how to deal with that, but just because people don't understand your vision doesn't mean that your vision is like off. It just means that they don't get it, and it's okay if they don't get it. But it doesn't mean that you have to stop. So I say all that to say, just like, when we make these excuses, bro, like, sometimes we have to find ways to build like self-motivation. Sometimes you got to prep yourself up, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, whatever you want to call it, bro, and just like go and get it done. Even when you don't feel like doing it. Like, we all been there, bro. Like, people are working to survive. They're not even working to live right now, right? And you have all these things that you may have accumulated, some good decisions and some bad decisions, but the reality is you have to sometimes motivate yourself to get some of these things done. So, like, finding some new habits to help fuel some of that motivation will be helpful. Trying to implement some type of like discipline or something, finding some things that may motivate you, whether that's being around the right people, or setting some parameters within yourself. Like, if you find yourself scrolling on social, like, maybe setting an alarm for you to cut that off. Maybe saying like, okay, after 10, I'm not going to check social, unless I'm posting something. But you have to figure out some ways to kind of cut some things off of your world, if that makes sense. So it can be tough, and it definitely depends on personality type as well, because I'll tell you, I am more of the night owl, and as I get older, I'm not necessarily a night owl. I am just more so of not a morning person. So, like, if the fellas were here, they'll be laughing because they know I'm not a morning person at all. I'm not the type that will get up at 6 just to be getting up at 6. I'm gonna be cranky. I'm not gonna want to talk to anybody, unless I'm going on a trip. That's the funny thing. Like, unless I'm going somewhere, it's the only time that I'm cool with waking up at the crack of dawn to catch a flight. It's weird, but That's actually the only time where I'm not in a mood. But any other time, bro, like I'm not trying to wake up at 6 o'clock. But here's the thing. I might need to start doing it. And as tough as it is for me to do it, you know, some of those things you have to put in place to kind of like force yourself to do something different, right? Like my whole life I've been waking up, even though I get up at, I'm up, I have kids, so I'm up every day by 7 anyway. But being intentional about waking up and intentional about going to sleep, some of those things I think are important. And if you have to place some of those parameters in place to help you do a better job at being who you want to be or who you need to be, then you may have to do that. The other part is like having accountability partners. Like the crew are our accountability partners. My wife is my accountability partner at home. But you need somebody that's going to just like tell you what it is. And for you to be able to tell them what it is as well, because once again, that your accountability partner may see something that you're not even paying attention to, and vice versa, right? Like they may not understand why you're doing some of the things you're doing, and you may need to be told that you're doing some of the things that you're doing, right? So you just need somebody in your life that's going to give it to you straight and not sugarcoat it, but also give it to you with some grace too, because you don't want people to. Everybody processes information differently. So you want somebody that's going to be honest with you, but also someone who knows who you are, right? So, but I definitely think all in all of that stuff helps, man. So like if we're getting to a space where we can really like stop making the excuses, whether that's finding ways to like kind of build the self-motivation and, getting some of that tough love talk, I think it can help you out, and especially like identifying what's really holding you back, because most of the time it's probably you. It's probably you look in the mirror, you're the person that's holding you back. There are some cases where the people around you are holding you back, and if you're identifying that the people around you are holding you back, you need to get into a better situation. But I'm gonna leave that up for you to figure that out. But we didn't do a sip of the week. I'm drinking water. I should be drinking some tea, but anyway, we do have a voicemail this week, so I'm going to play the voicemail. Shout out to, looks like Cameron from Houston, Texas. So we're going to go ahead and play this. Cameron, I'm by myself, but I'm going to answer this the best way I can. Here we go.
Hey, Black Man Thing. This is Cameron. I'm calling in from Houston, Texas. Really love what you guys are doing. And a question that I kind of wanted to ask you all, I know on your most recent episode, you guys briefly talked about therapy, but my question is, how important do you all feel, or how important do you think it is to find the right therapy? I know we're always talked to, or we're always told as Black men to, get therapy, but I feel like it's also important to, find the right therapy for us. Specifically find the right therapist. That can be, somebody that, looks like us and really understand what we all go through as Black men. So, that's my question. How important you all feel it is to find the right therapy, and specifically the right therapist. Thank you guys. Really love what you guys do. Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely, man. So shout out to Cameron from Houston for calling in. If you want to call in, I didn't do any of this stuff at the top because I was just trying to get it out. So look, if you want to call in, leave a voicemail. It's 404-939-6477. Once again, that's 404-939-6477. You can call, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it right here on the pod. If you want bonus content, you can actually go over to Patreon as well. Ironically enough, we did do an episode about this on our Patreon, Cameron. We had Brian Stewart, who was a therapist, on, and he gave us some information on that, but also we went into that in a little more in depth on Patreon. But I'll answer your question directly. I think the first part of what you said was super important, bro. Like finding the right type of therapy. I'll tell you, with me, like I've had like a couple of different therapists. Like the first one was just like, by myself. It was with a guy, just when I was having trouble communicating, like my thoughts, my feelings, all of that stuff. And so I went and sat with him. I had a couple of sessions, maybe like 5 or 6 sessions. And honestly, he just wasn't the right therapist for me. We got to some places where some very cultural conversations, and he just didn't understand where I was coming from. And he, respectfully, he tried his best, but it was just like, it was obvious there were some things that we just couldn't relate on. And he was a white guy, probably a couple of years younger than me. I would say at the time I was we probably around the same age. Now that I think about it, that was like my early 30s. The first time I went to therapy, and yeah, he probably was like roughly around the same age. The next time I went was like, did some marriage therapy. Me and my wife, we went just to like a really communication, bro. Like most of my stuff have been on the communication tip, just because like naturally I am a protector of people. So I like try to protect people's feelings, and sometimes doing that, I keep quiet on a lot of stuff. And so, which is not the right thing to do. And so, trying to iron out a lot of that. And I'm like transparency, but like, bro, I'm still working through that to this day. That's not something that just like went away overnight. I still have times where it take me 5 days to process something. And then, I might come back and ask a question or something like that. But yeah, that's like a real work in progress for me, for sure. But the other one is just like, when I lost my dad, like just grief counseling, right? And just like trying to process those things. And so when you say find the right therapist, finding the right therapy first, I think that's super important and crucial, because you got to find out why you're there. Like, you may be there for a host of different things. And like, so finding the right type of person to talk to, and on top of that, finding the right person to talk to are all important. I think it's the most important. Honestly, I think the most important part is finding somebody that you can relate to, and finding somebody you can feel comfortable to talk to. I know a lot of times in therapy, it's going to take a while. If you're not a very outspoken person, it's going to take a while to break that barrier, because you're talking to somebody who don't know you and you don't know them. And so that may take some time to break through that wall. That once you break through that wall, I believe finding the right person is the most crucial piece, because the last thing you want to do is be in therapy and feel like you can't be yourself, because the work will not get done. It will not get done. You're going to be in there. I mean, you can be in there doing anything, like feeling like you know more than the therapist, or not wanting to open up and give the therapist the information they need to make a proper assessment. So I think finding the right therapist is definitely crucial, but you also want to know why you're going to therapy. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Cameron. Thank you so much for calling in and leaving a voicemail. If you want to do that, excuse me. Yeah, I told y'all I'm sick. If y'all want to, give us a call, 404-939-6477. Call, leave a voicemail. We'll be like thankful to talk to you. And if you have any questions, we'll answer them the best that we can. I think that's it, man. I think that's it, because my voice, I'm about to tap out on my voice for now. So I will say this. If I can give like some final motivation, there's no shortcuts. This is a grind. It's going to take work. It's going to take nights not wanting to do that thing. It's going to take days not wanting to do that thing. It's going to take failing. It's going to take reassessing what happened. It's going to take selling some stuff. It's going to take buying some stuff. It's going to take going into debt. It's going to take getting out of debt. It's going to take mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes. It's going to take a lot. But if you're there and it's something that you want to be there, get it done. Even if it's at your job, you might not like your job currently, but there's something at your job that you can use going forward. Like I'll tell you, full transparency, bruh. I was so ready to leave my job that before I was forced to leave my job, right? But in that time frame, I was trying to learn as much as I can just in case it was going to happen. Like I didn't know it was going to happen, but it did happen. And there are so many things that I've took away from my last job into like my own companies, right? So from even something small like the way I invoice, like I legit invoice the exact same way that the last company that I worked for, and with like down to the naming convention. I took that because I was like, it was such a genius way of how they invoice, like name their invoice. So I was like, I'm gonna do that. So there are so many things that you can learn from your companies that you're at while you're there. So make sure you're taking something from those places. But no, it's gonna be a grind, man. Just don't make any excuses. Whenever you feel like an excuse is coming and you feel like you're getting in that space to where it's like, okay, I can feel the runt coming, or I can feel the less motivated part of you pulling up. Find something that's going to make you flip that switch. I don't know what that is for you. I still have to find what that is for me. But whatever it is, man, like I'll tell you, no, you know what? I'll keep it a buck. What motivated me tonight was I saw a post from Marty Woodard, and I might be saying your name wrong, bro, but I apologize. You know who you are. And it was just something. It was just like, yo, like the road is gonna be tough. It was something I can't remember exactly what it was, but I read it. It motivated me, and I was just like, you know what, bro, go and get it done. I don't care that you're in your robe. I don't care that you ain't shaved your head. I don't care that the lighting is not perfect right now. I got like my little light up here. I don't even know if I'm properly framed in the center because I'm using my cell phone right now and I just got it turned. I can't even see the screen. So I don't even know how this is going to look after I stop recording. I could be out of frame, but guess what? I don't care. I'm going to post it no matter how it is. The audio should be good. So I'm going to post it anyway, because you know what? You got to get the work done. You got to get it done, even if it doesn't look the way that you want it to look. You got to get it done. So with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This has been the Black Man Think podcast, where we elevate our black man, because black men be out here thinking. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, do all of those good things. And if you want bonus content, come over to Patreon, patreon.com/blackmanthink. We would love to have y'all. That's it. We'll see y'all next week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.
The Black Men Think Podcast.